Hi, this is Eva for Once Upon a Timeline. Welcome to Midnight Mandela, everybody. Okay, let's see who's in. I set it for 10 minutes late today because I left, so I started it at 12:10 as scheduled because I was running so late. I don't know. Today is one of those days where it just seems like time was extra fast. And I actually left on time to get here, but I just had a weird feeling I might be tight, so I added 10 minutes and I needed them. Okay, who's in? Lord Frybread, Monty Hendricks, Heart's Truth, Shari D. I think that's it. Monty, you were talking about the cup of noodles. Okay, the cup of noodles, Mandela. So that one is very flippy floppy. So from my perspective and the perspective of the person on Retconned that I was talking about last week, and also another person randomly just discovered this Mandela yesterday on her live stream. For us, it's just recently changed. So, you might have told another me in another timeline or whatever that it happened a year ago, but for us, it didn't happen a year ago. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, maybe in that timeline I did cover it, or I don't know. I don't know, but that one is a weird one. And I mean, we've covered it a bunch of times on here too. But this last thing with the historical flip flop is new for me, anyways. That's all I can say. People all the time are saying my old videos changed. I said something I didn't remember saying, or this and that. I've seen the same thing on everybody else's videos where I've rewatched their videos and now it's all different. And I'm like, look, you said something else before, and now your video says this. And they have no idea what I'm talking about. So, them's is the thing. So, sorry, I do my best. And with the fact that I can't cover everything and there's timeline shifties and everybody's moving around, it's like impossible. Like, there's been times when I have been watching for something to happen and I swear I caught it within 1 week of its happening because I was monitoring that item. And I go and check the Google and somebody covered it a year ago. Like, that's impossible. They couldn't have covered it a year ago because it just changed this week. But I guess we're at this timeline first, or don't know. So anyways, I'm sorry. Do my best. And that's probably why not many people are here too, because I actually put up the alert really late. Okay, jumping ships in. Maria's in. John the Savage. What are we talking about? Not too much. We're getting to it. Today is one of those days, I don't know. It's been shifty. And so, like, one day I'll feel really good. And then another day I'm, like, totally out of it. And today was one of those out of it days. So, I'm going to talk about Gelada monkeys. So, these guys, we've covered them before. But it used to be... Let me just do a regular Gelada. It used to be they had the triangle on their chest. Okay, but that was it. They just had the triangle. And that thing had been kind of growing because when I first saw the geladas, they didn't have the triangle. So this one shows the triangle. And last I checked, that's what they had, a triangle. But it has upgraded now in several ways. And so this one, Mark Tyus found this latest upgrade. He found this upgrade that the females now when they're in estrus get all these gross blisters. And I noticed there's like weird lumps and all kinds of stuff on here. It used to be a nice clean triangle like this all the time. But you can even see this one's got something going on there now, whereas this one doesn't. But this is the other thing that I noticed when I was checking Mark Tyus's is that they're all hourglass now. It's not just the triangle. It's on the neck too. Like, see this one? So the last one you couldn't really see it because his head was down. But I spent a lot of time tracking these geladas, and they did not used to have this thing up at the neck. It was just the triangle. So now it's hourglass thing. And even the males have this. I have to say I don't really care for it that much, but I don't know where we're going with these things. I think they look better without the neck thing. So you can get a better look at it here. I think this is another male. So they all have these hourglass now. Let's see if I can see a big one of this one. So yeah, you can see clearly. So I don't know if I had these in my original timeline. If I did, they were really plain, but they've been around for quite some time. Like 5 years ago, I was just noticing them. And then shortly after that, they got the triangle. There's a crease in the triangle here. So they have like little boob crack or something. They didn't used to have either. And we've got the females with that grossness of the lumps. So I've looked at these a lot of times. They never had that before. So the other thing I'd seen slowly developing was the way the upper lip flips back. It was just a little bit at first, and then it was more and more and more and more. Let's see if we can see a big one of that one. So there's more going on with that. Sometimes there's little lumps there that look like maybe little boob things or something on them. Here's another one. See, like this one. And that's just a little one too. So I don't know if that's because it's female and this one's a male or what. But those did not used to be there. They used to be nice, clean red triangles. Now apparently the triangles get blistered if it's a female in estrus, and if it's a male with strong hormones, it becomes very red. So that's the latest in those. Frankly, I haven't totally been able to look through these much as I wanted to, but you can definitely see. Yeah, I don't know. Not my favorite anymore with that neck thing. It was looking a little creepy to start with, but now, I don't know, when the neck is like that, it looks like it's all scaly or something, like you're sick and their hair fell out. So that's why I don't like it. It's like tattoos all over the neck and face, and even these animals are growing these things. So yeah, nope. So that's the latest upgrade to the Geladas. Close all these. So also the other thing I saw is, I swear these were baboons before, but now they're like, oh no, they're not true baboons. And I'm pretty sure they were true baboons before. Energies are killing me. Yeah, today I just felt so, I don't know, jangled or something, just janky, or just like my nerves were, and then yesterday I felt good, but the day before, I woke up with all this weird energy that was just, I don't know, it was kind of irritating or something. So I don't know, I heard something about the Schumann being up today. I don't know if it's really that or, yeah, so I'd heard that it was up. Oh yeah, what did happen to Cupie? I haven't seen her in a while. That's a good point. It's been a couple times. I hope she's fine. I mean, I do notice if you follow the Mandela for long enough, years pass, and after a while you're not quite as dedicated to watching every show and stuff. So it could be just that. Okay, so John Savage does not remember the triangles. So for me, the triangles have been there for a while, but they, hold on just a sec. Getting thirsty. But originally they were not there. Then they kind of showed up. But they've been there for a couple years for me, the triangles. Now, 5 years ago, they were not there. But I'm pressured by all my family to get it. No, are you talking about the jib jab? Yeah. You know, you got to follow your own path. And maybe that's one of the lessons that we all got to learn, is how to be in the minority. Lord knows the Mandela has taught us that. So maybe, you know, that was um, the beginning lesson of this game. Is it me or is the video behind? It always is behind. It's always behind by a little bit. So like if I look at this, it's always a little behind from where I was talking. Kind of tired after the last 3 hurricanes. My whole family got the you know what, but they are regretting it now and are not taking the booster. Yep, good job mostly using euphemisms. Just watch that terminology. Yeah, I know a lot of people who got the first 2, like they did their part for society. Man, my ears are ringing all of a sudden. They did their part for society, but now they're like, no. So I don't know. They may be pushing a little much with this last additional 3rd one. They're already talking about a 4th one. Oh, immunocompromised might need a 4th, you know, pill, so to speak. So like, wait, you haven't even gotten people to swallow the 3rd one yet. Now you're going for the 4th one. I can't feel these energies, maybe because I'm pizzaed off and agitated about stuff in my personal life. Maybe that's why I don't feel. I don't know, you know, I don't know. Maybe some people are just better at dealing with the shifts. Maybe I come from further timelines, so it's harder and you're more native. I really don't know. I mean, I might just suck at shifting. You know, you know, it sounds ridiculous, but I've never been a big fan of change, you know? I mean, like, I don't mind going out and deciding to experience change, but I don't really like it when it smacks me in the face. So it's kind of ironic that I have to deal with all this. You just have to laugh sometimes. So maybe it just makes it harder for me. Emmy, leave Eva's name alone. Too late. Yeah, it's Eva in this timeline, apparently. So their part for society was to die. You know, I don't think everybody's going to bite it. I think that the damage will probably be cumulative. There'll be people who somehow dodge the bullet. Other people won't. That is my suspicion. So some people who got 2, they might be fine. I think it's going to be one of those things where, you know, like Agent Orange was terrible for people, right? But there's some people who had heavy exposure to Agent Orange and they never had any apparent side effects. So I think that'll still be the case. Let's see. Shari's got a link. Lone Eagle's got a good vid on the protest. Okay, hopefully that is not the one, because I know you guys can follow these on your own. I don't want to go to, nope, sorry, wasn't going to do it. I don't know, I've been having a lot of problems getting links to work lately. Twitter links especially have not worked well. I don't know if it's because of the Brave browser or what. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for the protests, but I don't need, that's not info I'm going to add on this channel because you guys already know about it. French, Southern, and Antarctic lands. Okay. I mean, I know now they say that like each section of Antarctica is like split up to like there's slivers of it for each country and stuff. That's kind of new for me. Antarctica was just nobody's territory before. Lindsay Hiccups is in. Anyways, yeah, who knows how it's going to spin out. You know, there's already been changes in the Pokey Poke that are Mandela changes for me. So the Pokey Poke that I think is out right now is not the Pokey Poke that I studied a year ago. There's, for instance, I swear that the AZ version of the Pokey Poke had it had a enzyme that was bioluminescent in it, and now there is no info on that. And I don't think they could have hit it that well. It wasn't even a secret. It was in the ingredient list, and now it's not in there. Then recently, I saw some kind of claim that the one starting with a P glows in the dark, and right now it's just a claim because we don't really have any verification, and anything could be on the internet, right? But I'm like, wait, it's not the one that starts with a P, it's the one that starts with an A that has it, and it's in the ingredient listing. But I look now and it's not in there. It's not. So I'm pretty sure it was A. It could have been the J one, but I remember it was one of the ones that did not need the deep freeze. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna maybe they're doing this to track people in the poorer countries, how it manipulated the genetics or something, and that's why they put the bioluminescence in there. But it's not in there now. I'm pretty sure it's not. At least, it was officially claimed to be in there and admitted to, and now it's not. So I think that we're talking about a different Pokey Poke in this timeline. I think there's been some alterations in the reality. So if you think of it that way, how it's gonna pan out is still up for grabs. There is no one way that it's gonna do this or it's gonna do that. We're at 50-50 at my workplace, and these people are not even awakened. Okay, good job. Then they can't do too much to y'all because can't get rid of half of the workforce. So as long as you guys stick together, make sure you guys all stick together and make an agreement so that you can't get pressured. I know your boss might be cool and that won't be a problem, but a few years back, many ME people reported sore, stiff hips. That's the only ME side effect I felt. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's kind of went away, hasn't it? And the hips have kind of settled. With that weird loop thing on the bottom. Let's see. Linda Lava Lamps in. Nana Karin. All right, Shari's got another link. Let's see if this one will work. Fascinating ROV footage of a deep sea bloody belly comb jelly camouflaging a bioluminescent dinner. All right, I'll run a short clip, see what this is. All right, first of all, let's kill the sound. Its name means brilliant comb jelly with blood red belly. Darn it, it's hard to catch. Here we go. All comb jellies are Ctenophores. I have not heard of that one before. Ctenophores have 8 rows of hair like catenae, used for swimming and eating. Okay, I can't read that. Lacks scientific name. I don't want to play too much of the clip because there'll be copyright strikes incoming here. Okay, so yeah, weird. Its belly is always blood red to conceal any glowing prey it eats. I guess they're gonna say the red blocks the glow best. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. Now, did these guys light up? Because I know we've seen that before. Yeah, here we go. Oh, interesting. So, okay, yeah. So it can, instead of just going along however it wants now, it looks like it has more control over its lighting. But I think I've seen something like this, but not this exact one. There's probably a lot of them now, since they're getting the official names. Okay, so Simon, when we talk about those things, don't forget to use the euphemisms, because they will come and delete the entire video. Their algorithms are always checking, so. I was trapped in something where all I saw was my own comments and nothing else. I don't know. I think YouTube might be a little janky too, because when I was trying to get on right before the show and I went to content and there was like nothing, and I was kind of scared for a while. I was like, is all my content gone? And then I just like kept reloading it, and finally it all like showed back up again, because I have to go to content to get onto like the current show, and there was like nothing. So yeah, when you use the when we're talking about current events, certain ones that are controversial, just be very careful with your terminology. I think most of us on here pretty much know the score, so if you use euphemisms, people will get it. You people still alive-ish, yes. I know of chronometsphores. I don't know those ones either, actually. Siphonophores is the last one I heard with the fours. Chronometaphors. All my electronics were glitchy. Yeah, they've been a little on and off. Caminati, yeah. See, YouTube has like AIs basically. I mean, I'm not going to say they're actually sentient, but they're programs that look for words, and they also follow the spoken language. So if I say certain words a lot, then that video will be checked. And I've already lost a video and got a strike from it. So, and I didn't really say much. I just said I ain't getting it or something, and that was enough. In fact, all the rest of the portion of the video is just one little portion. I was just reading scientific articles, like from PubMed, and apparently that's fake news, the scientific articles on PubMed. So there you go. You can't even read science. It's weird now, because you actually get the fastest way to get deleted is if you back up your theories. Like if you just say wild, crazy stuff, they'll let you stay a lot longer than if you go and look at PubMed and back up all of your statements with evidence. That's when they kick you off. So everything is like backwards in the world anymore. I talked about chronometaphors before. All right, I'll look because I don't really remember anything. Chronometaphors. Chronometaphors. I remember siphonophores. Chronovore. See, it's not an animal, so I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall anything about chronometaphors anyway. Okay, so let's see what we got. So let's see. What are bloody belly comb jelly? I'll put that on. Where's my pen? Pens. This timeline eats pens too. Well, the last bunch of timelines. I've got like 20 pens like in a new container down there, so every time I can't find my pen, I can just get a new one. That way I can put it later on the description of the story. All right, another one. So I believe that it was John Austin who originally came up with the Jujitsu Mandela. So the Jujitsu, like I remember it as Jujitsu. And then it became jujutsu. And some of you remember jujutsu, but I did not remember jujutsu. I remember that being jujitsu, and then like on anime they would call these like hand moves jutsus, right? But they weren't jujutsu, it was jujitsu. All right, so apparently now jujitsu is kind of somewhat back. Jujitsu. Why is it I can't spell it anymore? Jujitsu. There. So if you type in jujitsu now, it still says jujutsu, but then it says also known as jujitsu or jujitsu. So now like basically jujitsu is like acceptable. So for a while it was only jujutsu and that's it. So it seems like that's still the primary, but now it didn't make sense for a while because like there was so many people calling it jujitsu still, and then the official word is that it's only jujutsu. I still have trouble saying it. So there, it seems like there's a lot more jujitsu outcomes on this search too than there was last time. Japanese jujutsu. So I don't know. I think maybe combo of timelines again or something, because it just seems like a lot of stuff is like there's 10 ways to say things or something now. I mean, first there was one way, then there's 2 ways, then there's 3 ways. Oh, you can spell it 3 ways. I mean, how many versions are we going to get? I mean, in 5 years, is there going to be like 5 ways to say everything? Shari remembers jujitsu. Yep. So yeah, that's another one for me. Like Kalishnikov. It was Kalishnikov rifles, not Kalashnikov. But okay, and did that one. Got that one. All right, this is from our Japanese friend over in Japan, who whose name translates in Google Translate to Taro Eto, but that is probably not the right translation. So we will call them our Japanese friend, because there's a lot of ways to pronounce things, and so the chances that the translation pronounced that those characters right, I suspect it's not great. Oh, wait. Okay, what am I thinking here? Red panda. Wakey, wakey. Having trouble wrangling my brain today. And I just couldn't get anything done at any kind of speed. It was like time was just flailing today. It's like, I just sat down and 2 hours passed and I thought I was hurrying. And okay, so the latest, this red panda, I had them on when they first showed up for me. Well, not right when they first showed up, but they were on. I was showing that a lot of their faces were turning white. So they used to have like a nice red face, but now faces are turning white. And then I'm seeing this, like they're just red with all these goofy like white lines and stuff. I didn't mean to do that. So they're just getting really, I don't know, what is that? I mean, they just had a red face before, but now they've got all these white markings and stuff. So the other thing that our friend from Japan noticed is that the bottom is turning really black. They used to be like pretty much red all over, and there was just slight markings on the face. They were still super cute. They had a little bit of black in the bottom, but now they're like turning very black. So these guys are still in development, obviously. Very cute. I also don't remember such prominent stripings on the tail as I'm seeing on a bunch of these. So they're basically black on the bottom, red on the top. They got white spots all over. They've got hatch-marked tails. So they got a lot going on. They were cute before, but now it's like, woo boy. This file's not loading. Look at that. So cute. I just don't remember that much. So originally those weren't even in my timeline, but they've been around for a number of years now. Really cute. It seems like they're going to be like another one that's going to be like pet animals too. A lot of the creatures here are way more tameable and less wild than my old timeline. Like people have pet alligators and stuff before, and they like have them on a leash and they're brushing their teeth and they're big. And now if you had a pet alligator before, it was in a cage because it would bite your arm off, you know. But now, what is it? Nothing's loading off of DuckDuckGo today. Kind of my luck, is it? This one is a very neat image, but it's not load. Maybe it's too big and my computer is just too wimpy. So they're totally black underneath now. Are we going to get any of these to load? This is kind of ridiculous. This is interesting because sometimes I look for something and there's like 0 images that have high definition, and now like all of them do on this. Look at that. Look at this, totally black underneath. And my ears are ringing with the high-pitched ring. It's not that I never hear that, but man, it's wailing right now. So cute. Look at this. They're totally black underneath. It's kind of a weird coloration, really. Usually animals are a little lighter underneath, and then they're darker on the top. So, yeah, these guys are really, really cute. And I hope it stays that way and they don't all get gross and bumpy and piss and pee everywhere with goopy, fleshy blobs like so many of the other animals are. Just stay cute, Mr. Red Panda, please. Sotheby's is now Sotheby's. It has been Sotheby's for me for many years. I can't swear way long time ago, but video quality improved. Don't ask me. I don't know. According to YouTube, it's still not getting as much data as it likes, but that's pretty common. Look up iguanas in Florida. So they're not native yet, right? So iguanas, they were saying that they're all escaped pets. I'm not buying that story anymore, the escaped pets. I think it starts that way, and then 10 years from now, they'll say they're native, but... First reported in Florida in the 1960s in Hachiya, Coral Gables. Green iguana populations now stretch along the Atlantic coast to Broward Martin. Okay, so they're not native yet. So the iguanas and the giant snakes and all that stuff, I think they're going to become native eventually. And they always say, oh, they're going to ruin the environment and just devastate and all the animals. And it never happens. You know, I mean, no animal that you already knew about ever goes extinct. Instead, it splits into 10 different kinds. So, and also, I really feel like these iguanas are ridiculously changing. I mean, look at that giant thing on the bottom of it. They never had that. Get out of here. You know, we used to sell iguanas when I worked at Petco a long time ago. And I knew quite a number of people had really large iguanas. And they're crabby too. And they will injure you when they're crabby. But they never had this giant neck thing. And I saw they were getting kind of bulgy. And like this thing was never so prominent. And these spines along the back, no, they were just little ones. They weren't like this. There were no iguanas like that. That's crazy. So and then they only had green. They were just green. Now there are all these colors, and there's red ones and bluish ones and blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can find any images. Yeah, look at the spines. See, and there's a red one. Come on, and there's red, all these colored ones, and that one's red and green now. They can't decide. This one's going to be brown, gray plus green. Oh, let's have a red. Look at those spines. They were not like that. And they're too close. There's too many of them, too. They were lower and like wider. That's crazy. When did those spines even get like that? I haven't seen that. Look at that. It looks like he's got a mane like a lion or something. He's got like hair on his head. And, you know, we had the big ones, too. Look at that neck. Come on. So that's changed pretty recently. It hasn't been that long since I've been looking at these iguanas. So they've grown this giant neck sack. Look at that one. Green plus red. Yeah. Oh, they're getting to be rainbow now. Ooh, is that really that's really one? I'm wondering if they kind of cranked the color saturation on that photo, though. That looks, Pinterest. I don't know what is about Pinterest, but there's a lot of baloney on Pinterest. So yeah, they're very cool, but they did not have this giant thing. They did not have the spines, and they did not come in all those colors. They were just green. Green iguanas. And they didn't have all this extra coloration here, too. It was like these markings. It wasn't like that. Not for me, anyways. Oh, yeah, Shari, I'm getting to Hala fruit. Don't worry, it's coming. It's on the list. There's so many effing iguanas in Florida that they have a bunch of hunters out killing as many possible, not even hardly slowing down. Now, you know what? You got iguanas. I mean, why hunt them? It's not going to do anything. These are new iguanas. These are new timeline iguanas. Oh, yeah, legs too long. That's a good point. That is a good point. Yeah. I think it's kind of like the alligators. They probably get along around a lot better now. But yeah, you're right. They do look a little long. For me, though, those spines. Look, she's holding it by the spines. I don't know if that one's dead. I guess it's dead, so it doesn't matter. So they're looking, I mean, it's kind of cool. It looks like it has hair. What's the point of all those spines? Those would just be like something to somebody could use to grab you with. So they're saying like, oh, if they'll just go into torpor if it gets cold, and then they'll like recover, because that's the tricky part. Florida does have frost, and iguanas don't come from a frost area. See, like these giant neck things like this, these bumps, those weren't like that before. The bomb cyclone made it rain frozen iguanas from Florida's trees. Now, my understanding is that they will just recover, though, as long as nobody eats them while they're laying on the ground or something. So just like I had on before, that the alligators can live in frozen lakes by sticking their snout out into the air and then it freezes over. There's no way alligators used to be able to do that. And don't get me started about the term bomb cyclone, because that sucker is new also. There was not bomb cyclones before. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about the name, because, I mean, like, it seems like the names of these things kind of predict what they're going to become. And so right now it's just kind of like extra cold. And they're saying the temps change rapidly, and they call it the bomb. But I don't know. I'm a little worried about that name that they chose to call it. The iguanas have a good chance of thawing out if you move them in the sun. So, yeah, so they're basically fine then, as long as they can warm up and thaw out, which is kind of creepy. That you couldn't do that before. They would just die. People are hunting and killing 20 or 30 at a time out of people's yards on a daily basis. What are they even eating? I mean, like, we have lizards here, and they're not that successful, and they're little tiny guys. A big iguana like that requires a lot of food. Iguana hunting is huge in Florida. It's big pest control and a big industry now because iguanas took over Florida. Well, I guess there's worse things to take over Florida. I don't know, like if you're going to have like 20 a day, then what's even point of hiring people? Can't you just get like a big, like one of those rope on a stick things and just rope them and like throw them over the fence or something? I mean, they're creepy, but they don't like chase you down or anything, and they will smack the crap out of you, but just don't get too close. I mean, a dog or a cat is still more dangerous. I guess it'd be pretty irritating if you're trying to enjoy your yard and there's iguanas everywhere. But they're cool looking. You got to give them that. All right, pet panda. Okay, quickie, more weird fungus. This one's been growing for a while, but it's getting more insane. So this one is from Hobo Days. The Gelada female blister monkeys were from Mark Tyus. I think I said that already. So they've gotten more like next level. There was just little things before, but now... Gosh, I can't even tell the fake ones from the real ones. I think that's a real one. That looks like a real one. And those. But there's so many of these things now. Red cage fungus. So, yeah, it's been growing for a few years, but I would say not in my original timeline. There's just so many funguses now, it's ridiculous. And I've said before, there's so many growing... my yard now. There's so many edible ones. Look at them. They're just getting weirder. I mean, it's like a drug trip. It's like you went to the world of Avatar or something, or smoke something, or... I mean, I think we're basically... all that wacky stuff that we try to imagine, it's all just showing up. Here, all the science fiction stuff, the stuff from the other worlds. There's another kind. Okay, now this one is an interesting one. I've had this one on 7 of 9 from Star Trek. I don't know why. I guess I just watched Star Trek a lot. She just can't, her like prostheses or her little metal parts just won't stop changing. So now the eye one has kind of settled down, but another part is changing. So this eye one used to be really simple and didn't used to cover all her eyebrow. But now it's getting more and more complex. It's gotten a lot more curves to it, and it still looks like it's kind of pimping out a little bit. I don't know how to say it, with just more complexity. It looks a little more antique-y lately than it used to look, really like shiny. And then apparently the one from the newer show called Picard looks quite considerably different, and they didn't explain it, but it looks like this. So I'm not talking about the Picard one, which looks kind of cheesy black metal, and I don't know, it looks totally different, and they don't even explain it. So for me, that's kind of a cheesy, I don't know, they couldn't find the original prop, so they made a cheesy replacement. I don't know what the story is, but I'm talking about the original one from Voyager. That's what we're looking at. So here's the thing that's really changed with her. If you remember her hand one, now it's just like, I don't know, it looks like it's gotten a lot more cheesy. I don't know. It's just... So this part has, I think, gotten more cool looking, and it looks a little reptilian and weird. But this is her prosthesis for her hand now. And it was nothing like that. So now it just looks like she's got like thimbles and some colored fabric stretched over or something. This is not, I mean, this is actually the one from Voyager, and that is like nothing. So the one that she had before was really sophisticated looking. It really looked robotic. This just looks like shiny colored fabric or something. It's just totally cheesy. So I totally agree with this one is from Carbon M5, and very good find, Carbon M5 commenter on the channel. That is totally not what her hand prosthesis used to look like at all. Any of you Trekkies should be like rolling over in your, well, not in your grave, but you should be jumping up and down, and unless you remember it, because I do not remember that being. I can't find any hint nor hide nor hair of the old one. See, it's still like that there. It's totally cheesy now. I'm sorry. That's like, it just looks like a weird clothing. It doesn't look robotic at all. The old ones were very technical looking. Her old eyepiece was very shiny too, and it looked more see, it's still decking out. It's nice. So her old eyepiece looked very shiny and newish, and this looks kind of antique-y. It's antiqued and ancestral. It actually looks more tribal. So it kind of is weird because it doesn't really make sense with the storyline. It's neat looking, but... So yeah, you can't find any hints of that old prosthesis for the hand now. It is nowhere. It doesn't really show you much, but I also think the top of her head might have gotten a little bit bigger too, frankly. Because I think the top of my head got bigger, and it's somewhere between last winter and this winter. My hair doesn't lay the same, and when I put my beanies on now that it's getting cold, they don't fit the same, and they don't look as good. It's like I've got this weird head shape now. See if I can find any more. There's weirdly not a lot of images with her hand that are high definition. It's interesting because sometimes when there's a Mandela like that, you'll have trouble even, like right when it's new, you'll have trouble even finding a close-up image, so you can't even see it up near, and that seems to be kind of where we are. This one, though, this one should help. See if it loads. Yes. Okay, you can't see too much, but that's pretty much the same thing. See, yep, totally cheesy. Anyway, so it's gone. Yeah, it's totally different now. It's totally different. Guys, we're not looking at her face. You can look at more than one place. I know you can. It's totally possible. Iguana's tacos. Yeah, you know, I don't know. Is iguana meat any good? Iguana meat. They're not that hard to catch because they're kind of slow and they just whip you. But if you had like a long catch pole, I don't think it would be that hard to get them. Because usually they'll just kick your butt, but we have like tools. So iguana meat has historically been important in culinary traditions of Mexico and Central America. All right, what does it taste like? That is the real question. Iguanas are referred to as the chicken of the trees. They are said to taste like chicken. Many people enjoy the meat from iguanas because of high levels of protein. Iguana is pretty lean meat and contains more protein than chicken. That probably means it's kind of dry, though. You're going to have to add like either some sugar berry carbohydrates to it or some kind of like bacon. Well, anyway, so there's more food available in Florida anyways. They eat people's plants and foliage in the yard. Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, so you have like little baby, tiny deer eating all your stuff. Ferns, tomatoes. Yeah, I don't think you're going to win. The timeline wants those things. So I have a certain amount of sympathy, but, you know, here we've got so many, like, I can't plant anything because gophers come up from the bottom and they'll eat them. And so I put them in big pots, and gophers actually chewed the bottom of the plastic. Like, I put them in pots and I covered them with very fine grained wire, and then they chewed a hole in the plastic and got in there. And then, like, no matter how much I lock it down, it's like baby rabbits and hornworms and birds and everything and its uncle get my stuff. So it's like, you literally have to put up a greenhouse with a cement floor to like grow anything around here. And then the possums, man, you know, they're so cute in this timeline, and they're also like dumb, and they don't move, and they just climb all over my stuff and eat it. And even I go out there and try to scare them off, they just stare at me like idiots. Like, used to be you could scare off a wild animal, but now they're just sitting here with their big doe eyes, and they're so cute, and they're eating all of my fruit. It's like, I can't even kill them because they're so cute, but I want to eat my fruit, damn it. I think I'm kind of whiny today. I feel like I'm in a weird mood. I couldn't even look at Picard's series. Yeah, I just haven't. Just lately, I've suddenly felt like watching movies again. It has been years. I thought her hair was blondish. I don't know. She just looks like maybe her head got a little bigger and it's poofing out the hair more. It looks just a little different. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just in a weird mood today, really. 7 of 9. Okay, so we got that. That was from Carbon M5. Good find. All right, so this is more in the weird blood type stuff. So this is not a Mandela, but I think it's the direction we're heading. Oh, yeah, you're right. Her hair's all red there. Photo fan pop. I think that's still her. Unless it's like a really good cosplay or something. But yeah, see, her hair is kind of reddish right there. So I think that's the Picard version, and this is the Voyager version. I'm not sure on that. Her hair does look a little bit reddish now that you bring it up. Let me just look at my other. Yeah, no, it's on my other screen too. It does look a little more strawberry than I remember it. I don't know. Next time you watch the show, take a gander at her hair, because I'm looking at these. Now that you have brought it up, it looks pretty strawberry. Kind of like she's just got a little bit more of a tone. So like I remember it more like this. This would be like a residue, like regular blonde. So, I can't swear on that one, but there does seem to be, it could be that, as a woman, if you can't find your hair dye, and maybe you'll have a slightly different bottle of dye that day. So it could be that, but I don't remember ever seeing her as a strawberry blonde. So maybe in this timeline, she couldn't find her color on the shelf. Everything tastes like chicken. You know what does not taste like chicken is alligator. It tastes like fishy beef. So there are a few things that don't taste like chicken. You'll notice whenever you buy alligator, they grind it up with 10,000 spices, so it doesn't taste like alligator. The trick to alligator is to make it not taste like alligator. Yeah, possums. Well, they used to be, possums were ugly in my old time. They were gray. They look kind of dirty, dingy colored gray. And of course the tail, but they didn't have, the fur wasn't as fluffy. And if you came near them, they'd kind of stand where a word and they'd hiss at you, and they had this horrible, evil hiss. So even though you knew logically that they aren't that dangerous, they would have this hiss that would just go into the bone, you know. But now they're cute. They have the fluffy and they're kind of whitish face, and you don't notice the tail as much, and they just look at you like they're mesmerized. I haven't heard a single one hiss in a couple years. Okay, Shari is getting a patient for the Hala fruit. Okay, so her hair down is from Picard, the new show, as far as I can tell. I haven't actually watched it, but having kind of gone through this from before, it's from the newer show, which is just on one channel. It's harder to watch TV now because you can't just watch TV like the old days. You have to, do you have Netflix? Do you have this? Do you have that? Everybody's got their own thing. I watched Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal. His shoes are too dominant. Oh, Random remembers the gray ugly possums that look like rodents. They didn't have nice fur at all. Yeah, lions not roaring. So possums are way cuter. All right, let's look at Hala fruit. Hala fruit. So this one showed up. I saw it on Yahoo right around when Shari saw it. And so she sent me a thing like on the same day I saw it. So they're very cool. You know, I probably could have put that as the thumbnail, but it didn't happen. Yeah, that would have been smart. I should have put that in the thumbnail. I was actually at work trying to remember my MEs for tonight, and I forgot this one, but it's written down on here. So yeah, Shari found this one, and it's been making the rounds. I don't know if you've ever seen these. So this is a fruit, and boy, are they pretty. Just a beautiful thing, Hala fruit. The fruit looks like an exploding planet. And then they come in multiple different colors. I've never seen these. So some of them are more yellow, some of them are more red. So these little segments, then you have these, and I guess you just chomp like this inner piece. You pull the segments out and like nosh on. So these things are big too. It seems like stuff's showing up lately, fruits that are really beautiful. The taste is, like dragon fruits. Those are a little bit older, but I do believe they're a Mandela. Beautiful. They grow them here now anyway, and always have. But the taste is really mild. They're not bad, but they're not like, an orange or a banana where you're like, score. So I'm wondering if these are like that. So let's see. I wrote down, so there's from all over the whole Pacific Island region. Apparently they're they're not rare at all. These are like really common fruits for Australia, the Maldives, Hawaii, the whole Pacific region of islands and stuff. The taste is supposed to be like mango times pineapple with banana undertone. So it sounds pretty good. But apparently there's not a lot of the actual edible part out of here, because it's just this like in this center part. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, have you ever seen anything so beautiful? It's for a fruit. Total score. Look at that one. That one's got green, red, and yellow. So it looks like they're fairly tropical, so I don't think I could grow these by me, but I think I could probably check that. Hala fruit wiki. Tectorius. habitat. Coastal regions, mangrove margins and beaches. Up to 2,000 feet. Requires a lot of rain. More drought tolerant than coconut trees. That's not bad. They adapt by reducing fruiting if it's not much rain. Thatch screw pine is well adapted to grow in many soil types. On the coast, quartz sand, coral sand, peat, as well as limestone and basalt. Salt and wind tolerant. Favors acidic soils. That might be a problem locally. We have very alkaline soils here. All right, what is the temperature range, though? It doesn't say what the temperature rate, what zone. Pandanus tectoris in Australia is threatened by sap-sucking insect. Prevents coastal erosion. What? All right. It does not say what zone. Wiki is falling down on the job. I believe this is zone 9 here, so sometimes stuff can squeeze in. Tropical plant. So yeah, maybe not. Because we're considered the subtropics here. As is Florida. Let's see. What, there's no zone anywhere? Zone 10 to 12. Yeah, I don't think we can quite squeeze them in here. I had a crazy personal ME where I locked my doors, and the next thing I know, my friend had walked back into the house, door unlocked. And now I know I had just locked it and checked the handle. Ah, yeah, that is weird. There's been a couple times when I swear I locked my door and everybody locked the door in the car, and then they had forgotten their keys, so we were locked out, and then I just pulled the handle and it opened. I'm like, I swear we locked it. And, you know, of course, I'm glad I did it now, or did I not? I don't know. You know, it's like you start to wonder, you know, I have some special knowledge about alligator eating. Actually, yes. So a friend of mine got alligator because we were curious and cooked it, and it was tough and it wasn't very good. He just threw it in the pan and like cooked it like meat. And then there's some Cajun restaurants around here. There's one that's really good, and they have alligator, and I ate it there, and it was really good because they ground it all up and flavored it and it was delicious, but it didn't taste anything like just taking a slab of, like, you can take a slab of chicken and you can throw a pat of butter in the pan or something and plop it on there and throw some salt on it, and it's quite decent. I mean, you could add extra spices, but it is not required for enjoying the food. But alligator, no, it's not good like that. It's not. But so yeah, I don't order. I mean, I won't buy it now. So yeah, possums are still clumsy and dopey. If anything, they're even more dopey. But they're cute now. But they're infuriating because, like, I have this little tree and they just climb and they steal all my fruits, all of them. I did not get a single persimmon last year. Every night they eat more. I planted, the persimmons don't love it here. Again, I think the soil is still alkaline and we're like throwing stuff on it to try to help it, but it's kind of, poking along. So it doesn't have that much fruit. So I can't afford for like the possums to eat 40 fruits because there's only 40 fruits on there. Came across the juiciest, tastiest fruits ever. Had half orange, half pear, bigger than a tennis ball with tiny hairs. Well, I'm not sure on that one. Here in San Diego, we can grow pineapple, though not like Dole. I'm a little too far inland and I'm on a hill. I tried growing pineapple and it died in the winter. I tried it twice. So I can't get away with it over here. If I was on the coast, I think so, but birds ate all our blueberries. Yeah, we planted strawberries, rabbits, and everything else got them. The tomatoes, everything else. The thing is, the creatures go out there and they eat them like 2 days before we're ready to eat them. So you never get any. We didn't get hardly any tomatoes. I mean, every animal in town loves us, I'm sure, but I've just like, if you don't build a whole greenhouse and lock and load the place, you aren't getting anything. Okay, so this one's interesting. So a while ago, and I don't think it was that long, a month, 2 months maybe, I had on about somebody switching their blood type. Now, we've heard stories about Mandela affecteds saying their blood type is not what they remembered, okay? But as far as official reality, you can't switch your blood type, except for a couple months ago, there was one where somebody got a bone marrow transplant, and then the bone marrow of the donor was apparently creating a different blood type, okay? And so it kind of sounds a little doable. I'm suspicious. I'd never heard of it before, since bone marrow transplants are not like new or anything. But now we have somebody switching blood type from a liver transplant. So now that is very suspicious. DNA is like really flippy floppy, loosey goosey in this timeline. An Australian girl spontaneously switched blood types and adopted her donor's immune system following a liver transplant in the first known case of its type. So how is the new liver, causing her to have a whole different, the liver is not what makes your blood, so it doesn't make sense. Seriously ill with liver failure when she received a transplant. 9 months later, it was discovered that she had changed blood types and her immune system had switched over to that of the donor after stem cells from the new liver migrated to her bone marrow. Okay, so she gets a liver, and the stem cells in the liver, why does the liver have stem cells anyway? It should have liver cells, right? I don't remember livers having stem cells. So the stem cells in the liver migrated to her bone marrow and took over her existing bone marrow and turned them into liver stem cell bone marrow cells. She is now a healthy 15-year-old. It is extremely unusual. We don't know. Yeah, it's unusual, and I'm not saying it's a Mandela because this is obviously new, but I'm very suspicious about this even being possible. Doesn't really make any sense. The majority of her immune system has also switched over to that of the donor. Okay, so your immune system is located in all your bone marrow. Your thalamus here is involved. How is one liver going to take over like all of that? I don't get it. Your liver is not in charge of all that stuff. So how did it get control of everything? And how did it overpower the existing systems? So this is like really weird stuff. And they don't even explain it. They don't even act, it's rare. Well, they're not explaining any of this in a way that makes any sense to me. Storm says it appeared that Brennan may have been fortunate because a sequence of serendipitous events, including a post-transplantation infection, may have given the stem cells from her donor's liver the chance to proliferate. The task now was to establish whether the same sort of outcome could be replicated in other transplant patients. So the weird thing here is they're kind of implying, but they're not really spitting it out, and I wasn't able to find anywhere that they would spit it out, whether she still has to take the drugs to keep her from rejecting this liver. It kind of sounds like no, because they're saying they want to replicate it in other transplant patients, so that means it was good. So this might make it so it's easier to get transplants, basically. If you can just like, it just seems like your body's immune system here is just very tolerant compared to my old timeline. You know, you can have all this foreign DNA and it just does not pitch the fit that it would have in my old timeline. Yeah, I don't know, Random. I'm just reading it, and he said he went all around and like showed this this story to the experts and all that. I put my pineapple in a very large planter. Yeah, I tried that too, and I even had it near the house, but it still died. It's just too wet. I'd have to have a, if I had a greenhouse, I think it'd be all right, but yeah, that's what I did. I used the head of a pineapple to grow another pineapple. And it grew fine spring and summer in the beginning of fall, but in the winter it was like meh. My backyard possum is ravenous. He tries to get in the door to eat cat food. I don't know. They're like little tanks. They just like, I see food, I eat food. They just, they're not like, they used to be more nervous, but now they're just like brainless automaton eating machines or something. They just look at you with their cute eyes and they're like, so like that guy was on my tree. I saw him climbing in my tree at night. So I stomp out there. I'm like, I'm going to chase away this possum off of my tree. He's hanging on the tree, literally just feet away. I could have smacked him. And he's just staring at me. And I'm like, shoo, shoo. And, you know, he wouldn't get off. So I actually grabbed the tree and I'm shaking it like, he's only a few feet off the ground, so he's not going to die if he falls. But I thought he would climb down or jump off or something, but he wouldn't. I actually just whipped the tree so hard, and he finally went phew off the thing. But I'm like, get off my tree. He was so obnoxious. He just looked at me. He didn't even try to scramble or anything. He's just like, I don't know, man. I've never seen such a cheeky possum, but that's how they are. You know, the rabbits are all cheeky here. They don't even run away. Have you heard of people getting transplants taking on the characteristics of the donor? Only in the last 5 years. There was like 5, well, maybe like 8. Okay, maybe like there was rumors about 8 years ago, but they weren't substantiated, and like they were really rare. Apparently it's a big thing here though. I have a cat, so having an indoor plant is impossible. I had a few plants that weren't too poisonous, and luckily my cat was not a big plant eater. So, and my current cat is not a big plant eater. So my last cat, she would just, she didn't really want to eat it, but she would go to a really dry place on the plant, like where the leaf was dying, and chomp it really loud just to piss me off. I mean, like, if she wanted attention, she'd just go like, and then she'd like look at me. Like if I was, like if her bowl was out of food and I was sleeping, she knew that I would get up. So that was her like special harassment technique. I know she did it just to bug me because she'd only do it when she wanted something. And then she would chomp it like as loud as she could. And then she would glare at me to see if I looked. I don't remember possums running off from people. Some would be more bold. Yeah, I don't know. They used to scuttle away at least. I mean, they weren't the fastest in the West, but with an organ transplant, you would be on immune suppressants for sure. Yeah, but see, like this thing, they're saying that her immune system switched over to match the liver. So if the immune system switched over and they're attempting to replicate this, then that strongly insinuates that she's not that her immune system won't be rejecting it because it's switched over to be the same. So if her immune system switched over to be that of the liver, then why isn't it rejecting like the rest of her body then, though? See, that's the weird part. It's like, no, it's really weird. All right, so, yeah, so I don't know. I just think that's really strange. I mean, like I said, I can't say that it is a Mandela because it is new and rare. But like I said 2 months ago with that bone marrow one that we're going to see more of it, and then this thing shows up. And I didn't see this last year. Okay, so I covered everything I wanted to say on that one. All right, this one. I don't know if you've heard about the Ohio license plate debacle. But I think that there's something behind it. So basically, they made the Ohio one of the new license plates, and there's an image on it of the Wright Brothers plane, and it's like backwards. But I think it's kind of like another one of those Mandelas are trying to show you something, like they're trying to introduce you to this concept. So I talked about those canards last time, which is those weird parts in the front of the nose of the plane now. So apparently this is more canard business that's on the Wright Brothers plane. Do you remember the Wright brother having giant canards? Okay, so if you look at this plane here, when you usually see planes, you see like 2 wings in the front, and maybe there's a couple stabilizers in the back, right? In the back, okay? So when you look at this, you're going to say that's the front and that's the back. But it's backwards in this timeline. This is the front. There's these 2, this is the Wright Brothers planes, and there's 2 of these giant canards in the front. And this thing back here is the stabilizer now. So does that look like the Wright Brothers plane to you? 2 giant canard things, these things in the front. So apparently these provide lift. So in the current timeline, that's what you got. So this plane looks backwards. So on the Ohio license plate, they were going to have this image of the Wright Brothers plane, and whoever designed it assumed that this was the front of the plane, and they were going to tow this ribbon behind, and so they made this the back of the plane. Like any normal human would look at that, and we've all seen the plane 5,000 times, and no, not anymore. So the Wright Brothers plane now has these 2 giant canards, and this thing in the back, this is the actual back. I don't know if any of you remember that, but I'm like, no. All right, where are we at? Organs would always be a blood match and close match. This article I call baloney. That's a good point. Stem cells belong in the stem. I don't remember. I just remember stem cells mostly being like in the bone marrow. I don't remember them being in the liver. So yeah, do organ transplants to be a blood match. I do know you're right. So like the thing is, this is the second one. So that bone marrow one where and that's probably it, JoJo's. That's why I never heard of that before, because I do remember them always doing a blood match before. And so that's why the blood would never change, because it would already be matched. So, but that article from 2 months ago said that bone marrow transplant changed the blood type. So they didn't blood match that one. Matching and compatibility. Let's check this out. What is the latest spiel? All right, 3 tests. They're blood type, cross match, and HLA testing. The blood type of the donor must be compatible. Ooh, so this might follow the blood donor rules. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Now, I do remember them used to match it perfectly, but now it's compatible. If you're type O, you can take OA, A, B, or AB. So then this could change, because, so say she was type O and she got a type A liver. So they're saying that like the liver took over and made her a type A. If you're type A, you can, so that's okay. I do remember them making like, it had to be like a really close match though. Like they wanted it, like if you could be your parents or your like sister or brother or something, they like that. But here they're, okay. Yeah, I do agree with you though, JoJo's. I think it was like that. I think they wanted the exact blood match before. I looked up persimmons, so what it looks like a tomato. Okay, so there's 2 kinds of persimmons. There's these long ones that are very, I don't like those. They get mushy and they're very, not acerbic, but there's a word for that. When you're, they got a taste that I don't like. Then they have these other ones. They're more like rounded, like they're like an apple. They're like a fat apple in size, and they're crunchy. And those are called the fuyu kinds. So the fuyu kinds won't grow all over the country. They don't grow if it's really cold, but they grow fine here. And I love the fuyu ones. So they're just kind of sweetish. They take a little bit sweet. I don't know how to describe it. It's not really, I think most people would like a persimmon. I haven't really met anybody that didn't like a fuyu persimmon. They're good. But they're a lot better if you grow them yourself. They're one of those. The store ones, nah, they're not bad. The other nice thing about persimmons is they do last a reasonable amount of time in the kitchen before they go bad. I can't even eat normal red meat, let alone anything exotic. So I don't know, the halas don't sound like, they sound like they'd be good. And frankly, fuyus don't taste exotic. They taste good, but they're mild. Just a nice kind of a sweet flavor. So I don't know if you have them. I mean, like we have them here, but they're kind of pricey. And the flavor, it's good, but it is not as good as the homegrown one. No, they don't look like tomatoes. They're not soft. They're like apples. So let's see. Fuyu. So they have them in Japan a lot. So the other kind is called Hachiya. And there's different, those are the 2 basic kinds. So I would not recommend a Hachiya. The fuyu kinds are good though. So this is like the kind I have. Okay, I see why you say they look like a tomato. But they're way bigger and they're like pretty hard like an apple. So if you actually touched one, you would not think that they were a tomato. Because it's a shiny kind of hardish skin. Sometimes I peel off the skin because it's a little it's a little bit more tough than like a tomato one too. So yeah, these are you almost all see. So that's the fuyu ones. They look, yeah, the fuyu ones are shaped like a big fat tomato. Then the Hachiya ones are kind of pendulous. So you can see how they kind of have the pointy end. I would not get those. So usually in the store, they only have fuyus anyway, because these things have to be all mushy and soft before you eat them. And even then, I don't like them. So they don't make it into the store because they're too hard to transport. So if you're in California, you can usually get them from the farmer's market. And I think it's like November or something that they come out. So they're a cool weather fruit, which is nice. Yeah, so that's the front then. This is the front. And it's got those canards. I'm telling you, the canards are taking over the world. The planes are turning backwards. I mean, literally everything in this world is backwards. So that's the debacle with the Ohio license plate. I might as well put it on here. So this is how I saw it. And I just saw this week right after I was talking about the canards. And this thing shows up on my Yahoo News. Okay, so there's the plane, all right? So, oh, they fixed it. All right. So she had this backwards, basically. She had this in the back. Let me see if I can find the wrong ones. Yeah, that's the fixed version. This is the screwed up version. Here we go. So I guess a bunch of plates came out like this. And so like a normal human, whoever saw the Wright Brothers plane, she assumed that this was the back. And then she's towing this flag that says Ohio or something. And that's on their license plate. So they came out with this, and it's wrong. I would have never guessed. But the minute I saw that, I'm like, wait, it's that canards thing. So this is wrong. And this one is correct. But it looks wrong, but it's correct. The front is those things. So yeah, no. Who could blame her for getting that one wrong? So yeah, canards are taking over. We had the winglets, and now it's like Attack of the Canards. I hesitate to have dental treatment. I don't know if that makes sense. The dentist could not find the root of the tooth and pulled the tooth. Root canal treat. I don't know. I've been very blessed to have pretty strong teeth. So I haven't had to have that done. Now, when I was a kid, they did have a problem where one of the baby teeth would not leave the building. And the adult tooth could not like stuff it out of there. And there was like a battle royale in my mouth. And so they had to yank out that baby tooth. And they had a heck of a time, and they said it was the longest root they've ever seen, and all this. There was this big old thing, and so for that also reason, I never had my wisdom teeth taken out, because the roots are like apparently like halfway to Mordor in my mouth, and I can only imagine how fun it would be to try to remove them. Blood match, not the same for organs. Okay, close family match. Yeah, I don't know. It used to be only those mushy kinds of... really? Okay, so the mushy kind will grow in cold climates, because the mushy hachiyas, those will tolerate really cold, because those ones go dormant more. And then the fuyus, it's got to be subtropics. They can grow them in parts of Japan, apparently, but... Yeah, the hachiyas are awful because they have that, what is that? Astringency. Okay, so hachiyas, first of all, you can't pick them until they're mushy. So it's kind of, I'm not really a big fan of super mushy stuff. And then they have astringency, which I hate. I can taste astringency like one, I'm like a shark. If there's one drop of astringency in an ocean, I will taste it and not like it. So they have that. And so people told me, we'll put them in the freezer for a week. And then when they come out, it'll kill all the astringency. So I did that, and I could still totally taste all the astringency. And I don't like them at all. So they're mushy and they are astringent, and I don't like them. The crunchy ones came up 6 or 7 years ago. I believe that might have brought the crunchy ones to town, because when I lived up north, when I was a child, we had the crunchy ones, fuyus. And my mom, the main reason I know about them is because my mom loved them, and she planted them when I was a child. And I grew up with them, and then we planted them when we moved here, but they don't do as well here, unfortunately. The soil here kind of sucks, and it's real alkaline, and the trees, some of the trees just don't appreciate it. So I had those, but you know, I had a couple of the neat trees come over from my timeline. So we Aussies also say gander. You mean like look at, have a gander, have a squizzy, or a look or a peek? I've heard of have a gander. I have not heard of a squizzy. Myotragus bailuricus, cold-blooded goats with front-facing eyes. Huh, okay, let's check that out. Hold on. Myotragus. Cold-blooded goats? I'm kind of going to assume you mean like cold weather goats, because if they're cold-blooded, they would be like lizards. Okay, it's extinct. Lived in the Balearic Islands of Mallorca. Islands cave goat. Okay, not in existence though. Captain Canard. Yeah, I don't know what about that word. I just like saying it. Canard. Persimmons can be bitter if not ripe. Well, the Hachiya ones are astringent. So that is like when you pucker your face up, and then that's astringency. So it's not actually bitterness, and they're really bad. The Hachiyas are awful. So the fuyus, I have not detected any bitterness in them at all. Even if they're a little unripe, they just have less sugar in them, but they're not bitter. I mean, I guess if you ate like a totally green one, maybe. I have not tried that. Okay, so if you, John the Savage, if you actually saw a persimmon in real life, it really doesn't, you won't think it's a tomato. It kind of looks like it online, but you won't think it's that. It's about apple size, like a squashed apple. And they're very, they're much more symmetrical and stuff too. But the tomatoes are real soft and, you know, spongy. And these guys they have a consistency like apples, basically. Okay, so yeah, I want to try some of that Hala fruit now. I mean, when does that show up in the store? I think I got one left. So Hala fruit was from me and Shari D. Oh, the blood types one was from somebody I know online. PJ, I guess, would be a good nickname for her. And she found that one. It was interesting. So good find, PJ. All right, this last one is from Sapioid, regular commenter on the channel. So apparently we got plane blimps. There's a lot of flight stuff lately. Plimps. So they're not, I wouldn't say they're a Mandela exactly, but I'm going to cover this because the blimps are like taking over the history. They're all in the Tartaria thing. And now suddenly we have plane blimps. And with the canards and everything, I think we're going through some interesting physics changes. So apparently now we're getting these plane blimps. They're half plane, half blimp. Pretty cool. I don't know why we didn't think of this before. And I couldn't find much info on why they're better than like a regular blimp. Do they have like more control about where they go? Do they go faster? Because regular blimps have some kind of propulsion in it already. So what does this add to the story? I could not find any info on it. But they seem to be hard and fast into the reality. So plane blimps are called Plimps. But we also have one in the past. I'm trying to think if I had this one on sort of a few months ago. But there was an inflatoplane in the past where they would inflate a plane and have it. So here we go. We have an inflatoplane. The Goodyear inflatoplane. It wasn't as bad an idea as you'd think. I don't know why it just does not. It sounds like a really bad cartoon. The Goodyear inflatoplane, designed as a lightweight portable solution for personal extraction situations. The concept lost out to helicopters, though not because it wasn't promising. So 1950s, Goodyear designed an inflatable small aircraft for surveillance. Taylor McDaniel patented his inflatable glider in 1931 to prevent crash fatalities. Joe Bergling intentionally crashed the glider during a demonstration flight for the press. To the stunned amazement of the crowd, Bergling walked away unharmed with a celebratory wave of his arms. All right, I can't read anymore without paying, and I ain't paying. Okay, so we had inflatoplanes, and we've got plimps, or plane blimps. Let's see if there's more on that one. You know, I used to watch all these shows of like weird stuff from World War II and all that, and none of this stuff was on there back then. I mean, did we know about it all this time, but nobody bothered to make a show on it until recently? It just seems a little, you know, considering how TV is always scrambling for more material, it seems a little weird to me that this stuff wasn't out all the time. Of course, maybe in this timeline it was. I don't know. There probably is an old video with it now. Suitable for all types of Army field operations. Could be packed into a 44 cubic foot container and transported by another aircraft, jeep, trailer, or truck. Could be dropped behind enemy lines so downed pilots could rescue themselves. Goodyear built 10 more inflated planes under the sponsorship of Army Transportation Corp. Goodyear made a number of planes, but in the fall of 1959, Goodyear ceased production and canceled the project. Yeah, so interesting. I don't know. It doesn't. I can't really find much info as to why. I don't know if it's like new in the timeline and the story's not out yet, but it seems like there's a really strong. Ooh, that one's a double-seater too. There's a really strong tendency for these. So we've had like those weird bombs that apparently China, like floated over the United States and fell on the U.S. during the war, and then we got all these blimps, and now we've got inflatoplanes, and so it just seems like we're heading that way. I don't know with all this nitrogen in the atmosphere makes it easier to fly blimps or what, but. So yeah, I'm only having it on just because we've seen so much blimp stuff and the canards and all that. I think we're gonna see more. So this is kind of my prediction thing. We're gonna see more blimps and stuff because it's coming into the history. It seems like if it comes into the history, then it comes into the present. For instance, right before the Rona, the big C, we were talking on Retcon about past pandemics showing up, like the Spanish flu was just a joke of you got a nasty flu. Oh, it's the Spanish flu. Now it's this huge pandemic thing where all these people died. And we were talking about that the year before the Rona broke out. Like, what? I don't remember this giant pandemic thing. And we were talking about several new pandemic things in our history. And then boom, we get the Rona. So that's why I think that blimps are in maybe the whole concept of the floating and I mean, let's face it, this timeline, this reality needs a better way to travel. So, and they're going to lock and load a lot of the airplanes and make you get the pokey poke or make it really hard to travel. There's going to be even more desire for personal transportation. That's affordable. And right now you can charter your own plane, but it's not that affordable. And it's still subject to certain rules made by Uncle Sam. So there's going to be a lot of desire to have more flexible travel options. So maybe we're going to get those. I'm hoping. So first it comes into the past. Then I think we'll start seeing it into the present. I knew a reality where the president of the U.S. during the World War II was Eisenhower, not Roosevelt. 99.9%. Darn, I'm kind of crappy on my presidential history, so I can't really chime in, unfortunately. Predicting the future through retrocausality. It seems like it, though. If you see stuff, so like the Tartaria thing, like we were talking about that on Retcon before the whole Tartaria conspiracy theory and the mud floods kicked off. Somebody noticed, like, look at this giant, like, whatever empire on the map called Tartaria. And we were all like, what the heck? Nobody had ever heard of it. And it took up like this giant section of the map, and we found other maps and we're like, that's really weird. I don't remember. I mean, I remember the Tartar region being a tiny little spot inside Russia, and that was it. And some of us remembered learning about the Tartars as that only, this tiny little spot. And now it was like the whole, half of China, half of Russia was Tartaria. So we were, that's weird. But then, well, what? We move on to the next Mandela. Then 6 months, a year later, we got mud floods and all this giant conspiracy theory like exploded. So now when I see a really strong trend in the past, I'm looking at it with more interest because I think we'll see it in the future, or at least in the present coming forward. It's like it's developing its roots back there and then it blossoms into now, which is pretty interesting when you think about it. So things don't just show up. They go back in time, actually. So, I mean, are we creating these by what we want? I don't know. It's pretty bizarre, though. Not even the normies. Now even the normies are talking about Tartaria. Yeah, the esoteric conspiracy theory stuff moves a lot faster now than it used to be. I mean, you think about in the 70s when they talked about ghosts and reincarnation, and it really took like 20, 30 years for that to really be kind of accepted. And now on TV you've got these ghost hunter shows and stuff. You would have never had that in the old times. So if you told somebody you believe in ghosts, they wouldn't think you are totally insane. Well, like half the planet believes in ghosts. But so it seems like the development phase for stuff is a lot faster now. That might be good for us in the Mandela. It does seem like a lot of the kids are fairly open-minded about it, too. Flight in general seems more possible probably because of Elon Musk retroactively. Yeah, I don't know. Like his stuff all looks impossible and fake to me. And there are a lot of very fishy things in the videos. So, I mean, I don't really want to go to Mars, or I wouldn't mind going to Mars and the moon. I mean, even if that turns out to be real in this timeline. But I really just like to, travel around and visit cool stuff without having to pay an arm and a leg or inject various chemicals into my body. So, no thank y'all. And I think, life would be a lot. Imagine if you could travel for pretty cheap. Like you just, like right now, you can get on the bus for cheap, right? What if you could just go over to like another country for the same cheap, for just $20 or $50 or something? That would be so cool. I think it would help a lot with prejudice and stuff too, because I think one of the things that really breeds prejudice is and distrust is lack of mixing of the people. If you know nice people from a group, then you're not going to decide that whole group sucks. You'll just think, okay, some are nice and some are not nice, just like normal humans, right? The people who are the most prejudiced are usually the ones that don't have a lot of exposure to the different groups. Like people who've never been in California and they live in the red states, they come over here and they're just expecting, I don't know what, some horrible situation. And most of California is fairly pleasant. People have masks on and stuff, but I mean, there's a couple spots that are kind of extreme, but the majority is perfectly fine. But in their mind, California is all this just like one thing, like this horrible place of Karens and phobias and stuff. And most people are much more even keel than that. And then people from California get this idea that if they go to like Tennessee, everybody's going to be like gun toting, meth wielding, like insane people. And you go over there and most people are fairly normal. It's just, the travel helps people tone it down. You expose to the real situation. It's a lot harder to believe the exaggerations on TV. What TV does is they get the craziest person of any group and then they push that guy forward. So, they only represent 1% of the real world, the craziest 1%. The other 99% get pushed into that group, but they don't really belong there. So I think more travel would probably help with that too. I'm hopping the next plane to Tartaria or the Big Rock Candy Mountains. Yep. Obviously it's not going to come up in like 5 seconds, but I'm just wondering if, if desires are manifesting reality, then that's one thing that a lot of people, this lockdown is going to fuel the desire to get back out again. So that might, actually that bottled up desire may initiate additional kinds of changes. I'm getting pretty esoteric here and I really don't know for sure. But it's something to watch, the dynamics and the mechanics of all this. I just know I won't go anywhere if I need to do a test or have the thingy. See, that's exactly it. It's you and at least a third of the population of the United States and probably a lot of other places feel the same way. And the more pokey pokes they get and the more side effects that happen, there's going to be more people going, I don't want any more pokey pokes, even if they got some. So we're thinking what? So say even just 20-30% of the population really wants something. And if we're moving into a reality where manifestation is stronger than it used to be, then how is that going to spin out in reality? I mean, we might think it's all bad, but if we have the pent-up desires of 30% of the population going, I want this, I want this, I want this, maybe that means we'll get it, It's very concentrated. There's certain things I want now and think about now more than I ever thought about it before. It's very concentrated, and I'm not the only one. 9 out of 10 people don't see the Emmy. It makes me feel special. Yeah, I think it's unfortunately it's and like 99 out of 100 people don't see the Emmy. I don't really love being special like that, to be honest. I wish there were more people who saw it, but I like the old generation that are still in Cal. Well, the old left was a lot different. Like the left wing was a lot different 20 years ago than it is now. It's even us from the old left wing. I used to lean left, but now I'm like, what? I don't get it. I don't get the left the way they are now. So I don't know those thoughts, but then I'm like, okay, a lot of this is on TV though. Remember, it's TV, and in TV, I don't think TV is really representing the left as accurately as we think, because I talk to young people in California and very few of them seem to actually hold the opinions that TV is saying that they're supposed to be holding. So it's hard to figure out what's going on when TV has kind of jumped the shark. What if we manifest the world we all desire? Yeah, see, that's the thing. So 30% of us desire certain things. We don't want to get the pokey poke. We still want to be able to travel. Then there's another percentage of reality, like another 30% who want the opposite. So it's going to be a battle of manifestation. And the only real way I see this being possible for both sides to get their way is if we split up into more areas that are more similar to each other but different than other areas, more divided up. So you just go where you want. I don't agree with that. I'm moving over here. People are moving out of LA. People are moving moving to Florida. But some people in Florida are hating it there and they're moving out of Florida. It's people are sorting themselves out to be with their like people now. So the cities, I think, are going to go one way, and then other areas. So the suburbs are interesting because some of the suburbs have gotten really into the pokey poke, and some, like here, that really not different than some of the other suburbs as far as the layout of the number of houses and stuff are very different. So I think the cities are going to be the epicenter of some of the reality they want. Those people that live in the city are going to pick their reality for their city. And I think we're just going to see more and more division between the city and the rural. We've already got in California, some of the cities, some of the rural areas have said, we're not doing it. I mean, there's a couple areas that never locked down and absolutely thumb their nose at the governor and have never done it. And they didn't want any special monies or anything. They're like, okay, we're not going to do any lockdowns. Don't send us any special money to handle the situation. And they're doing their own thing. So I think we might see more of that. So that's the only way I can see where we all, we're all manifesting a different route. So I think it's going to have to split up more. Is TV representing the U.S. correctly? I always want to go there, but now it seems so Civil War-ish. I don't think it is. So, like, I walk down the street and, all that stuff that's on TV all the time. Some Karen refused to wear their mask and punch somebody or this and that. I mean, like, I have not ever seen a single example of that happening in front of me. I mean, I have never seen it. So I don't know. Maybe there's millions of people and there's going to be a few of them, but you're probably not going to see anything like that is the point. Most people are just like, whatever, you do what you want. Just don't bug me. People who are afraid of, people who love the pokey poke, hang out with other people who love the pokey poke. And there has been some families that have been really divided about that, but you don't really see people like harassing you on the street and stuff. I have not seen it. I mean, I guess it could happen, but people pretty much mind their own business, just like anywhere. I don't really see any major difference now when I go out as versus 10 years ago or something, as far as behavior of the average person on the street. There's a couple little things I've noticed. I think driving skills have degraded a tad. And when I sell online, and one thing that has really changed is that I used to put listings up for people will email me and say, can I have this custom thing? Can you drill the holes like this or something? So I'll make their item up, and then I'll put a custom listing. I'll say custom for Marianne, this and that and that. And it used to be if I wrote custom for Marianne only, that nobody would take it because they go, well, that one's for Marianne. And that was always enough. But now if I write that and somebody likes it, they'll just buy it. They don't care that they're not Marianne. That never used to happen. And now it's just like that. Nobody cares, or I don't want to say nobody, but there's enough people out there that just don't care. So now if I make something custom for Marianne, I have to put an ugly photo of something like gross and then not describe it too well so that nobody will steal her thing. You know, sometimes it's okay because I could just make more, but sometimes I don't have any more of that thing. So the what is it? The civil kindness to others online has dropped. But as far as walking around outside and people saying please and thank you, it's about the same. I really don't. People pretty much mind their own business, and that's it. The future spirit is manifestation of your heart, the frequency and style. Everyone persons move to a different kind of heaven. Yep. So I think basically maybe that's why things are so crazy, because you have one group of people really want one thing and another group really wanting another, and they're kind of manifesting at the same time, you know. There's like a war on where they're trying to sort this out. The realities are all flippy floppy. So it's kind of funny because I hear like our TV makes it sound like Mexico is really dangerous and stuff. And then you talk to like Mexicans and they say, oh, America sounds really dangerous. You know, it's like, really? I thought Mexico was, you know? So I don't know. Yeah, and that's the other thing. It is a huge country. It's a huge country. So there's a lot of variation. But I know California, I don't feel... The other thing that I think media really does now, and there's pretty good evidence that they do it, is it's easier to just make news than to find it. So, you know, they get paid a lot if they get an angry Karen on video that they can play for 5 minutes and then talk about for 3 or 4 minutes. That covers a lot of airtime. So I think... If I, like, for instance, if I had on my phone an incident of an angry Karen, and I could sell that for thousands of dollars. So I think people are just creating a lot of these. They know what sells. They'll hire some homeless person. And now with the masks, it's even easier because they have the mask on so you can't see who it is. Hire some homeless person to act stupid or jerky. Tape it. And go, oh, look at this Karen having a fit at Walmart or something. And it's like the cheapest, you could give them $50, they'll do it, you know. And then you go, oh my God, look what happened at Walmart. A lot of it is probably just fake. I mean, I'm not saying none of that stuff ever happens, but a lot of them look really suspiciously scripted to me these days. People are nicer in this part of the world now. Well, that's good. Yeah, so like for instance, I go to this meeting. Sometimes it's like just like a group meeting thing, and about half the people there got the poke, and the other half are dead set against the poke. But we don't fight, you know. We just kind of don't say too much, and sometimes I'll say, "Well, I'm not getting it," but I don't attack them for getting it. I just say I'm not gonna. They don't attack me for not getting it. Then later, the ones of us that we know we aren't getting it, we'll all talk amongst ourselves when the time is appropriate to complain about the poke. And we won't do that in front of the people who like it. And, you know, I mean, because that would be rude. And they probably, you know, do the same. But, I mean, I don't say, oh, that guy is an idiot or anything. I just say I ain't getting it. And so hopefully they give us the same politeness. But I haven't had anybody bug me for not getting it yet. And I'm pretty open about it, not getting it. I mean, I've definitely heard of some people, parents trying to force it on their kids and stuff, but it's not the common thing. You know, if you know 20 families, probably out of that 20 families, there are going to be nobody that had a huge family fight over it. You know, if you know 100 families, yes, there's probably going to be a family that had a big family fight over it. And, you know, the other thing about the U.S. is there's a lot of real beautiful places here. And I think the Mandela is barfing up even more. So, and we got good weather in Cali. But I'm kind of hoping that my area will become maybe like part of Arizona or something in the grand split up. Not everyone in a group have to agree on everything to get along. Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't attack people for getting it. That's their business. But I will complain all day about the pokey poke and about people forcing me to get it. But I don't, if they want to get it, that's their business. So yeah, and you know, that's a real mixed group. We have some pretty young people in there. We have, like, I'm kind of one of the older, but there are a few older than me. And it's been fine. And we get different people circling through there, still haven't any problems. Anyway, so yeah, I would say TV is not accurate, especially American TV. I don't know about the other TVs, and it's probably going to be case by case. But American TV used to be, like 20 years ago, a lot better. I think some of the people my age are having trouble realizing how bad it's gotten, because it used to be a lot better. A lot more. I wouldn't say perfect, but it was a lot more accurate than now. It's more like reality TV, which is not reality nowadays. They're making their own news. Why did so many people move to Arizona in the last 20 years? Okay, well, one thing is California, we've got really good weather, and we got the beach, and we got the mountains, and we got a lot of cool stuff. So it got like super, super expensive to live here. Like the cost of housing became astronomical. So a lot of people, when they got older, were like, well, I can sell my home for $800,000 and buy a home in Arizona for $100,000, and I'll have $700,000 to play around with. So a lot of older people were doing that. So that was a lot of it, I think. And then just some people were just like, I can't afford to buy a home in Cali. I don't want to move really far from my family, so I'll move like one state over. So that was another thing. It's just the cost of housing was astronomical, and has gotten worse. It's really gotten worse. So, but then like the costs started going up in Arizona. The whole thing is weird. I mean, the cost of housing all over the country has gone up way too fast. Considering our growth rate is very slow, there's something going on. I don't know if it's something about the availability of the bank loans or what. But it's way, way too expensive. Like the cost of housing, let's see. When we bought, I think my mom bought her first home in the 60s for like $30,000. And then grandma was complaining a decade or two later that it was up to $120,000. This is in Silicon Valley. And then when we finally sold those homes, they were like $550,000. And then when we bought this home like 20 years ago, we got it at like $230,000. And now it's probably worth, okay, 2 years ago it was probably worth $600,000, but now it's probably worth $900,000 because in 2 years housing has gone insane since this COVID thing. And I don't get it because people are just moving around. So it should kind of balance out, right? We haven't had a giant population explosion. And if everybody's moving out of a state, like I could see maybe Florida and Texas are getting really expensive. But I don't think people are packing into California. And I don't know any place where the housing has gone down. So there's something going on with housing. The supply and demand is really weird. People that are like selling and moving or buying another one, they should just be swapping houses. So why, there's a guy who bought a house in town for what is he? 5, 6, 7, 8. He bought it for like 650,000 2 years ago, and now he's selling it for 850,000. Just less than 2 years since the COVID started. That's how high it's gone. It's ridiculous. People have been migrating here, upper Michigan. Yeah, see, I could see from my perspective, I can see a bunch of people going, I'm going to a free red state. Even if you aren't really red, you're not Republican. Like, I'm kind of a libertarian, really. But I, just want, okay, there's a little more freedom over here. I can see people going, the hell, I'm moving, especially people who had been thinking about it a long time. But at the same time, there is a big chunk of population that likes the pokey poke. I'd say another third on the other side. And they should be moving out of those places, So I don't know. It just, everywhere is going up. It does not make sense. The supply, the demand has not changed that much because you have to sell one to get one. So everybody's swapping. So why has it gone up so much? There's something really fishy about it. Properties have gone through the roof in Palm Springs. See, and I can even see, okay, people are moving out of the cities, right? Okay, maybe people who are afraid of the COVID are wanting to get out of the cities. I actually bought my truck from one of those people. He was moving back to the boonies because he was a germ phobic. And if you're a germ phobic and then COVID hits, I mean, you are not going to be able to handle it in Los Angeles. So he was selling off a bunch of stuff, including my very nice truck, and score for me. But yet the price of housing has gone up in Los Angeles. So I'm like, how has it gone up? Isn't everybody leaving Los Angeles? I don't get it. The middle of the city, I don't get it. Non-cable daytime TV is like void of humanity, Jerry Springer. I haven't watched it in a long time. We do have cable still, so we can watch like documentaries and stuff. That's kind of what I watch sometimes. But it's mostly like it's on while I surf the net, so I'm not really watching. Michigan. Yeah, a lot of people are moving. I heard Michigan's gotten insane. So, yeah, I don't know. See, I'm like, okay, it makes sense to me that it went up in Michigan or Palm Springs, but it doesn't make sense that it went up here in LA. I mean, LA should be like in the garbage dumps, right? Their crime is through the roof. Our governor is talking about eliminating the need to post bail to stay out of jail. So he's right in that it's unfair to poor people because rich people can afford bail and poor people can't. I mean, I don't disagree with that, but I just think everybody should stay in jail if they're a criminal, especially for violent criminals, okay? Eliminating bail for like minor stuff is not so bad, but for violent criminals, no, I don't think anybody should be able to even have bail. They should just stay in prison because they were violent. So the thing is that the rich make up a small percentage of the population, so they manage to stay out of prison by bailing out. But like 90% of the people can't afford bail, so they're in prison. So the minute you eliminate bail, you have 90% more violent criminals like back out on the street in 5 seconds. And so, that's going to be a lot more crime, basically. A lot more crime. And there's already a whole bunch of crime in LA. So I don't know if they're trying to kill the cities and make it like warfare or what. I don't know how this is all going to spin out, but it's like, let's just do all the worst possible things at the worst possible time. let's just put a million regulations on shipping and trucks and everything right when there's a global shipping and truck emergency backlog, and then not, he's got emergency powers, but does he dial back any of that stuff just for the emergency? No. The one time I want him to use his emergency powers, they don't do it. So yeah, so basically you just wouldn't go to jail. So, it has to be really bad before they won't set bail. I mean, you got to be like really bad. Normally they'll set bail at some like astronomically high amount, and the rich people can scrape it up, but most people can't. So they would be in prison until the court date. But now if there's no bail, then everybody gets out. Nobody gets held in prison until their court date. So you could beat somebody up, and then you won't even go to jail for one night because there's no bail. They'll just say, okay, don't do it again, and then they'll let you go. So that could be like really bad. So right now, the rich people could do that, but most of them can't because they don't have the money. You can't even buy a studio in Vancouver for $400,000. Okay, well, remember, I'm in the suburbs. I'm not like in London or something. But I don't think you can buy anything here for $400,000 now. Like that little tiny place is going for $800,000, and it's a little bitty house. So it's actually a duplex, but the inside is like, there's 2 1-bedrooms, split in half. A duplex is like a split house. So you could rent out the other side, but it's each one has like a small 1-bedroom and a super, super tiny kitchen and a super tiny living room. And you get like 1 parking space, and there's 1 garage that's really small. So you can't even park 2 cars in it. And then they have to split it because it's a duplex. And so it's really tiny, and that's $800,000 something now. So yeah, you can't get anything, but it's insane. I mean, I totally understand the complaints of the young that they can't afford housing. I don't understand why it's like this, though. The cost of housing is just gone up way too fast, and they're building a lot of homes, and I don't get it. It's not logical. You can be let out on your own recognizance in some instances. Yeah, well, see, the thing is they want to do it for violent crime. And that's my kind of thing. Okay, it's not somebody who did a pickpocket or something. These are dangerous people, or potentially dangerous. I mean, obviously some are going to be innocent, but there's not going to be really anything that, deters people. So it's already been a problem. Like I said before, one of my friends, not friends, I would say, the neighbor of a friend was out walking, and then he got attacked by some crazy person. The person was obviously mentally unstable and just jumped and started beating the crap out of him. And this guy is just not able. He doesn't know anything about self-defense. He doesn't even know how to block a punch. So he got beat up, and then they found the guy a few blocks away who admitted that he did it all. I mean, he was, so they should take this guy away. Obviously, he's a danger. I mean, the normal standards are, if somebody is a danger to self or others and is crazy and is a danger to self or others, they will take him in. But the cops said, no, they're not taking people into the prison because of COVID. They might get sick and die in prison, or they don't want to deal with it, so they're just not doing it. So they just gave this guy a ticket. So he beat up somebody. He's crazy, and he attacking people on the street and beating the crap out of them. And they gave him a ticket and sent him on his way. I'm like, well, that's not going to do anything. He's crazy. Do you think he cares about a ticket? He's mentally ill. So it's this is not any kind of like, I don't know, what are the police for then? I mean, they give you tickets for your bad driving, or your out of your registration, or your broken tail light. But if there's violent crime, they give that guy a ticket. That's not why we have police. That's not what we pay them for. I mean, people don't pay them to get tickets for the registration. They pay them to protect us from violent, dangerous people, and they're not doing it. And according to them, it's not their choice because the courts have decided, or somebody, the government has decided they're not taking prisoners in. So I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy. So here the police catch the guy, he admits it, and they don't do anything. I mean, what's the point then? So, I mean, this stuff happens, right? Once in a while, but usually they haul in the guy. So I don't know if they're gonna. That's the thing. I don't know how it's gonna go. This is a small country, and the tourists are not a big percentage of the population, but the streets are full. Yeah, I don't know how much traveling is going on, and you're letting people in with the pokey poke, I assume. I believe that there's going to be a bunch of rules on flying into the U.S. now. You have to have the arm poke, at least for non-citizens. So frankly, though, I think the cops would have been happy to haul him in. They don't want to have to deal with this guy later. But, it wasn't their choice. So I'm not really blaming the cops. It's the system. The system is, decisions are being made that I'm like, well, he beat the crap out of me, but we can't put him into the jail because he might get an illness with the 99.9% survival. He's not old and geezer. He's going to be fine. I think, that maybe the danger of him killing somebody is a lot higher than the danger of a virus causing any serious illness to him. So don't we need to balance this a little bit here? I mean, this is not a pickpocket. That's what's so crazy about it. I mean, I'm not saying I love all police either, but in this case, they were apologetic also. So the police here, they're not, the Escondido police, they're not great, but they're not as bad as like LA or something. Those guys are like really bad. And the sheriffs in my exact area, my area is unincorporated, they're better than average. I actually have not any official complaints. I mean, I don't know everything about how they operate and stuff, but a lot of times sheriffs are a little better. Well, anyway, so it's getting late. I'm like way off topic, and there's no more Mandelas. So I think it's time for me to head off. So yeah, if you want to come into the U.S., I think November 8th. If you're not a citizen, you're going to have the pokey poke. So I'm still. I haven't even heard anything about this until just like yesterday. And so already it's going to be on the 8th. So they're just like jamming through the laws and then telling you later right now seems to be the thing. The land border crossing rules will be the same as before through January, supposedly. Well, I can still cross the land borders without the pokey poke. And I really couldn't find any exact information on any changes for citizens coming back in. So I'm still trying to figure that out. Anyways, thanks guys for coming. And as usual, thanks for all the additional Mandelas, especially useful this week because most of them came from you guys. So think good thoughts, everybody. This is Eva signing off for Once Upon a Timeline.